NBA preseason, a time of overreactions and insanely hot takes because of the surprising performances from players. Because of this, I have found some things I have seen that I wanted to discuss and say whether the hype is warranted or an overreaction. We also have news and rumors to break down, as this is my weekly recap called In Case You Missed It. The first thing I need to discuss is that some people have a belief that the Detroit Pistons are going to be a play-in team, and some say they will be competitive. We all know how bad the Pistons were last season, and in the offseason, they made huge strides to improve the roster in an effort to win more games by adding veterans such as Tobias Harris, Tim Hardaway Jr., and Malik Beasley. In theory, adding them is a way to win more games, so obviously they are going to win more and look better as a team. However, they are not going to be able to develop their young talent as they should have, as the playtime of Jaden Ivey, Asar Thompson, Ron Holland, and Marcus Sasser will be limited now in an effort to win more. It's very counterproductive for their future, but I will say, the help they have surrounded Cade with has made him look amazing in the preseason, posting near triple-doubles and being the star we expected. However, his talent was never a question, and it is the health, and if he is not healthy, this team is going to be unorganized and really just a cluster of contradicting playstyles that can't coexist. In my evaluation, they are a young and hungry team playing in preseason against teams that aren't going full out, so I doubt this is how they will look in the actual season, but I expect them to improve to an 11 or 12 spot. The next thing I am seeing is that the Knicks' new duo of Karl-Anthony Towns and Jalen Brunson will not only be a top duo in the East, but they may be the best 1-2 punch in the NBA. Cat has looked amazing next to Brunson in preseason. Cat has an elite ability at 7 feet to space the floor, which is something that many cannot do, and to pair that with Brunson, an excellent point guard that loves to get downhill in the paint as well as being a maestro with the pick and roll, pick and pop, makes this duo a match made in heaven. The problem I have is where we have already begun a narrative that jumps the duo so high up compared to other duos. A duo where one player is hurt a lot and struggles to play with physicality and cannot self-create. Don't get me wrong, this duo will be hard to stop, but there's also a big weakness that they have surrounding one of those players. So to crown them as the best duo or even a top 3 duo is something that is a big overreaction, especially when the Knicks have only played the Wizards in preseason. Take 3 is that DeMar DeRozan on the Kings is perfect, and his shot-making ability in the half-court is an amazing complement to this team, and the Kings will be dangerous because of it. I was in support of the signing of DeRozan initially for the Kings because they needed another half-court scorer outside of Fox and Monk, because outside of them, shot-making was brutal. So naturally, adding a pure scorer will solve that issue immensely. The overreactions come from the belief that this is a perfect fit, as DeMar looks to fit into the offense super well, as he has rarely missed a shot in 2 preseason games, but as a supporter of the move, I will say there are many flaws in this fit, so to jump to a side claiming it is a great fit is a big overreaction. Defensively and off the ball, DeMar is not a fit with this team, and that is why the new love for the move is in fact a slight overreaction. Jamal Murray has been horrible since last postseason, and he has had his struggles so far in the preseason, and although I eventually feel he will somewhat figure it out, to criticize his performance is not an overreaction, unless you are saying he will not come out of the slump. His talent is too good to justify making a statement saying he won't turn things around, but if your stance on him is saying that he is not a reliable 2 option anymore and can't be the go-to second option anymore, I would say that is not an overreaction. Jamal Murray is a very inconsistent player, and if we are being honest, he is a below-average second star on a championship-level team. The only thing is that he is the co-star to arguably the best player in the NBA, allowing him to be below the ideal level of a co-star. With every team making massive improvements, Murray is declining and becoming more inconsistent, allowing this question to be a fair one to ask. This is not an overreaction in my eyes, it is just something that needs to be looked at more closely before making a claim. The last thing I wanted to discuss about preseason is the Golden State Warriors, as there are many takes surrounding this team because of preseason. The Warriors shooting in preseason has been off the chain so far, and it is causing the pro-Warriors agenda to gain a high amount of optimism. The other side of this is that the Warriors have to decide between starting DeAnthony Melton or Buddy Hield at the 2 next to Curry, and that has led to a huge amount of disrespect towards the Warriors. These are obviously the 2 extreme sides of each end of the spectrum, and both would be overreactions, as the Warriors' 3-point shooting in preseason has been insane, but you also have to look at who they are doing it against, and consider the fact that this is meaningless basketball, and meaningless basketball leads to a huge confidence boost. The hate towards starting Melton or Hield is also an extreme because we really don't know if either will start, as the Warriors' projected lineup is some combination of Steph Curry, Brandon Podziemski, Andrew Wiggins, Draymond Green, and Jonathan Kuminga. Even if Wiggins and Kuminga don't start, the backcourt already seems set. So considering that, I doubt either will start, so making takes about the Warriors' success because you believe either of the two will start is just laughable. Now, as someone who is not confident in the Warriors, if you were to just say that they will underachieve, that is fine and not an overreaction. If you didn't think positionless basketball was being integrated into the NBA, you might want to sit down for this next thing, because the Pelicans are reportedly planning on starting Herb Jones at the center this season. Herb Jones is 6'7", and isn't the buffest guy you've seen, but as an all-NBA defender, his defensive skills are unmatched. But then again, he is a moderately frail 6'7" player who is going to be matched up against big bruising 7-footers, which just isn't a recipe for success. Even if this does work out, the Pelicans need to get a true center on their team, because this will only be effective for so long until teams figure out how to take advantage of it in a detrimental way to the Pelicans. This would make for a starting five of DeJounte Murray, CJ McCollum, Brandon Ingram, Zion Williamson, and Herb Jones 1 through 5. Not ideal when you look at it on the defensive end, but offensively, they will be able to expose many centers and defensively challenged teams, as they have many weapons that can kill you, along with a true facilitator, making them look scary on that end. We got a crazy rumor that the Bucks were shopping Chris Middleton last offseason, and they almost dealt him to the Wizards. The craziest part of it, though, is that it would have been in exchange for Bradley Beal. That was not the news I was expecting to hear this week, but imagine if this deal went through. Damian Lillard would not be a Buck. Jrue Holiday and Bradley Beal would have been in the backcourt together, and they can easily coexist and be a great offensive punch, and the Bucks wouldn't have lost their best defender in Jrue Holiday. The Celtics wouldn't get Jrue either, which probably would have changed the entire outcome of last season's championship, or at least altered the entire season. There is so many things that a Bradley Beal to the Bucks deal would have changed last season for many teams. So to hear this news, it kind of puts it in perspective that one move can change the entire outlook for every team. But I want you all to comment below what team would have been better last season. The Bucks with Jrue, Beal, and Giannis, or the Bucks with Dame, Middleton, and Giannis. Personally, I believe that the Jrue, Beal, and Giannis trio would have fit better together and would be better defensively, making them the better team, but the trio with Dame and Middleton is still more talented. Comment your thoughts. Some roster updates you may have missed this week. PJ Tucker and the Clippers mutually agreed to part ways, as neither side wants to be associated with the other at this point in time. The Orlando Magic struck big with a 3-year, $59 million contract extension for Wendell Carter Jr. this week, and those were the only two roster things to note this week. Your weekly injury report finds us discussing newly acquired Timberwolves Julius Randle, as originally it was believed he would be out until after the first week of the season, but now it is being reported that he may play sometime in preseason, which is huge news for him and the Wolves. Another former Knick, RJ Barrett, will be out for the remainder of preseason as he suffered an AC joint sprain against the Wizards. Raptors have not given a timeline for his return. At least 3 players have injured their ankles this week in preseason, and there are probably more I am forgetting about, but Damian Lillard, Ja Morant, and Keontae George are all notable names. That's going to do it from me on this week's episode of In Case You Missed It, the weekly recap that drops every Monday at 3. Hope y'all enjoyed. Y'all stay safe. Have a good one. Bye. If you want to see my 10 craziest takes for the upcoming NBA season, well, click on the video on the screen, because some takes might shock you, but I think they are all going to be right.